Hello and good evening, and at 10 to 9, aren't we glad to see Dallas back? On the other hand, here is something you were not glad about at all.
Dear Anne, may I say how much I resent my TV licence fee being used to pay Cynthia Payne to appear as a celebrity on last Friday's Blankety Blank?
E.A. Curran of Luton goes on to ask...
Maybe someone at the BBC could advise me as to an appropriate reply for my 9-year-old granddaughter when she asks about that woman's claim to fame.
Mrs. K. Deverne of South East London also protests.
I thought celebrities were chosen for Blankety Blank, and I couldn't believe my eyes when Cynthia Payne was chosen. Now, she may be a celebrity in some people's eyes, but not in mine. And without adopting a holier-than-thou attitude, I don't think the activities she was involved in should be condoned, glamorised, or made to look respectable.
And Mrs. Deverne ends by asking...
Could you tell us who selects the panel for this show?
I wish I knew, Mrs. D, because one of his other mistakes was inviting me as a guest, and since I truly don't understand how you play Blankety Blank, the result, already recorded, but which you'll see in January, is a personal disaster. Anyway, on to something else you're not glad about. Here's I.C. Thompson of Didcot.
I completely failed to find any humour in the grubby little production Divided We Stand. Without exception, the characters are portrayed as ignorant and stupid.
Mr. M. Mitchell of Frodsham also finds Divided We Stand distasteful.
It is not only unfunny, this programme is also offensive. It is the last straw.
Mr. Mitchell then widens his attack.
The vast majority of BBC and ITV sitcoms serve only to reinforce prejudices, racism, sexism in particular. Divided We Stand invites us to laugh at stereotypical figures from the West Midlands. Because they have a West Midlands accent, people are overwhelmingly stupid, and the women are especially stupid or conniving, sluttish or ridiculous.
Then there's bread.
People from Liverpool are liars, cheats, stupid, scroungers, untrustworthy, criminal.
And present points of view.
They, of course, all have a sense of humour.
Oh, thank goodness for that. But Mr. Mitchell does make a serious and well-argued point, and he ends...
As one who is involved in trying to fight bigotry and stereotypes in young people, I hesitate to admit to being a teacher, another target. My task is only made more difficult by so many sitcoms.
Well, judging from the post, sitcoms are neatly divided, in your view, between those you dislike because they're guilty of all the sins Mr. Mitchell has just listed, and others which also portray sexism, racism, etc., but in such a way as to show how inappropriate, bigoted and insensitive such attitudes are. Take this letter complaining about brushstrokes.
It must be the most sexist programme on telly, but last night's was worse than usual. As Sandra seems to be the only efficient, hard-working person in the office, she would seem to be the obvious choice for the training management course. But oh no, the choice is to lie between 3 men, one senile, one sex maniac, and the third one an idiot. Yours indignantly, Vivian Doughty.
And Miss Doughty adds a P.S.
Perhaps Sandra could set up in the painting and decorating business in her own premises next door and take all the business away from those wet willies.
Well, much to the distress of many of you, we're not quite sure what Sandra will do next. The series ended last week, but don't worry, all you addicts, there's going to be another one. Till then, here's a reminder of what you'll be missing. Another series pulled up its anchor on Sunday, that everyday story of incredibly silly sailing folk. Mr. Robinson of Southend writes...
What a pity Howard's Way degenerated from being the tale of the fortunes and misfortunes of a struggling boatyard into a dreary saga of thoroughly unpleasant business tycoons. And we've got awfully tired of Jan swanning around in silly-looking outfits and talking like Mrs. Thatcher.
I think she's much more like Edwina Curry, Mr. R. But there's also apparently a mystery unsolved.
I've been waiting to see if anyone would mention Leo's nose. I'm sure it's been altered. Could you show us his nose in the last series?
Certainly not, Mrs. A. Green of Bournemouth, but honestly it was just the same, directly above that mouth of his, which seems to be permanently open. And Leo's not the only problem.
Good morning. Please can you help some very distraught fans of 2 programmes, Allo Allo and Howard's Way? We find these programmes spoilt because of the loss of Maria in Allo Allo, and worst of all, the addition of Amanda to Howard's Way.
Maria and Amanda, you understand, being one and the same person.
Amanda is awful. Francesca Gonshaw does not look like a giddy 19-year-old. So Anne Plows, send Amanda a woo from Howard's Way and Muka Gubok to Rene. Yours in desperation, P. Blackwell and many friends.
You all live in Stroud. Well, there's no reason why Amanda shouldn't end up face down in the sea. Most of the cast of Howard's Way eventually seem to. And the next request.
Dear Anne, I'd like to say that if you could put the Lenny Henry show on twice a week instead of EastEnders, you'd be totally spondicious and crucial.
Thank you, sir. I've always dreamt of being spondicious and crucial.
And if that's not possible, I'd still regard you as totally crucial if you could tell me when that totally brilliant, fab, spondicious, crucial programme Moonlighting is coming back to TV. I know I have a very slim chance of getting my way. You can't even get your programme stretched from 3 minutes, but I hope you'll do your best. Yours totally spondiciously, Sukhvinder Singh, a totally crucial person.
And there's a P.S.
I'll do your programme schedules for you so you'll get at least 10 hours a day. Fine?
How spondiciously crucial of you, Sukhvinder. And as a reward, I can tell you there will be a special, new Christmas edition of Moonlighting. Now come in, Gordon Briggs of Sidcup.
Though I sympathise, you really mustn't carp if occasionally your time is cut. It is surely more important that full justice is done to all the exciting, innovatory programmes that BBC One is giving us this season.
Such as what, Mr. Briggs?
Well, rumour has it that BBC One will be screening a series of 36 years, or perhaps it's 49, of the Two Ronnies next autumn. Can you confirm?
No, but I can tell you something else. Let's start with the magic word, Neighbours. Now, for those who haven't been paying attention, the story so far is that Neighbours is on at 9 o'clock in the morning and 1:30 in the afternoon. But nobody likes that because mothers with small children are taking them to school in the morning, then going to work. Others are at work all day, and what's more, as Joanne Hamilton, age 12 of Watford, explains...
You're encouraging people to bunk off school, putting it on in the day. If anyone is ill in our class, when they come back, everybody crowds round them to hear what's happened in Neighbours.
I know, Joanne, I know. There is a sack full of letters like yours, endless petitions, 345 signatures from one school alone in Dundee. But stop, because our friends... brain boxes up there have a solution, and it goes like this. From January, Neighbours will no longer be on at 9:05. Instead, and listen carefully, in England, still at 1:30 and again at 5:35. In Scotland and Wales at 1:30 and 6:35. And, sorry about this, Northern Ireland, for you at 1:30 only. Letters of protest to them upstairs. Now, a positive trickle of appreciation for young Paul Heyney's travel show guide. You like it, not least because it gives a decent amount of time to each country it visits.
What a treat. A full 35 minutes devoted to one particular holiday destination. Much better than the usual holiday programme, skipping from country to country with little more than 10 minutes allotted to each. It also informs about those little details the tour operators forget to mention in their brochures.
Thank you, John Lowe of Bristol. Much praise also for the duty men. C.R. B. Cornish of Wantage write...
For us, it's been really compulsive viewing and without doubt one of the best informative programmes for a long time. The ones filmed at Heathrow Airport have been the highlight of the series and really enthralled us. We find it incredible the amazing lengths people will go to satisfy their needs. Well done to all concerned.
And finally, this programme would not be complete without a mention for...
Cagney and Lacey! I looked forward to its return, but my enjoyment was temporarily spoilt when I saw that poor woman in the blue dress who walks down the street in the opening scene is still pregnant. It must be the longest pregnancy in history, and my heart goes out to her.
Well, Mrs. Katrina Robertson of Hartlepool, I couldn't recall this poor mother-to-be, so let's have a look. Poor woman, 5 years pregnant, but worry not about her. Mrs. Robertson has a suggestion.
My husband is an obstetrician, and I'm sure he could help.
How kind. Good night.
If you have any comments on BBC television programmes, please write to Points of View, BBC Television, London W12 8QT.